All right, so guys, let me know if we have sound. Can you hear me? Bonjour, Jake. Salut. Is the sound on? Okay, great. Okay, so if you can hear me, I guess everybody else can. Great. So how many people do we have? 21. I'm going to put the screen a little bit closer here because, of course, I don't see as well as I used to. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Good sound. Okay, great. There, that's the microphone here, and yep, very good. Okay, it's in portrait, not landscape, and that's a big of an issue, I guess, for the video, but maybe not. All right, we'll just go. We'll just go on like this then. Bonsoir. Patrick. I just saw Patrick today, this afternoon. We went to the Col de Vence in the mountains, do some radio. So that was pretty nice. All right, very good. I'm losing the text. I don't know why. Maybe if I... No, okay. I'm not sure. I'm not a big expert on live streaming. Let's see if I have options. Apparently not. Okay, a lot of French here. Well, you know, it might be some French people. I know there's one. So, yeah. All right, so let's see. What time is it? It's just a minute past 8 here. A minute past the hour, so we'll wait maybe a couple more minutes that people show up. I should have my own cup. I do have a cup actually. It's in the same place as this T-shirt on Teespring. Okay, so who do we have? All right, yeah, thanks. K6ARK, Dimitri. It's scrolling, so I'm sorry if I'm missing people. Let's see, chat. Okay, there we go. Live chat message are visible. Whoops. Okay. Michael Pereira, Kuma. I'm losing the text every time. I don't know why that is. No, okay, no, live chat, okay. Trying to build a 40-meter dipole antenna for 7030. Problems getting a good SWR on nano VNA. SWR is 8 for all. Ooh, something with the, that's a problem with the transformer, probably. What kind of toroid did you use? I'm curious about that. And do you have the windings correct? That would be the things to check. 8 hours different, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the pain. I know. Why is my old text disappearing all the time? That's a pain. No toroid. Oh, well, that explains. For a half-wave unfed, you need a toroid transformer. Otherwise, you're never going to get the SWR right. You need a 49-to-1 or 64-to-1 transformer. Go check my video that's called, what is it called again? It's about confusion about unfed half-wave antennas. Clarifying confusion or removing confusion on half-wave unfed antennas, something like that. I have a lot of explanations there, and in a few of my videos I explain how to build a transformer actually. Happy, oh yeah, VE6 GPT, Happy New Year, it's belated New Year. 48-to-1, 69-to-1, no, it's 49-to-1 or 64-to-1. So you do need a transformer because the impedance at the end of a half-wave wire, it's very high. You'll never get good SWR. But if you use a transformer, then you'll get a great SWR and you'll get a great antenna, basically. All right, so I'm going to lean back a bit here. What was I going to say? The subject of text again. Can you talk about broadcasting over FM band short distance? Well, that is a touchy subject, of course, because it's illegal. Oh, Lab 599, yeah, I'd like to have one. I'd like to test one or buy one, but I don't have the money. So, but it looks like a great radio. Julian tried it. I think he liked it. Yeah. Thanks for the building a turret. Yeah, it's fairly easy. You know, it's not difficult to do. So we can build a turret for a few dollars, and I mean, I'm so used to building them now. I can whip one up 5 minutes and build a transformer. So broadcasting, we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about AM. FM is a little bit more complicated. Actually, yeah, we can talk about it a little bit now. I've been wondering if it wouldn't be a good thing for people like us to be able to have broadcast capabilities on AM. FM is more complicated. It's VHF. The range is pretty short, but I've been wondering if we would be good for us to people like us to be able technically to broadcast on the AM band, and that's very low frequency. It's below 1600. 1.6 megahertz, below 1600 kilohertz. So it requires a very, very long antenna, but that way you can broadcast to people's regular radios in their cars and your radio receivers. So that's something that I've been thinking about. Not that I want to do it, and I'm not going to transmit, of course, because it is illegal, but in a time of very dire emergency, a global problem, you might be an asset being able to broadcast on the AM band and broadcasting useful information to people. So, but that would have to be a whole video in itself, not just a question. Let's see. Okay. Did you make it to operate in the field this weekend? Yes, today. Today I did with my friends, but made a few contacts on CW. I did film, but it just wasn't very interesting. So I'm probably not going to make a video out of it because, I didn't do anything that I haven't done before, and it wasn't really, it wasn't very interesting. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that footage. Maybe you'll keep it as like B-roll or something like that, possibly. What is your full-time employment? I am a Unix systems administrator. So that's my job. And I've been into computers for a long time, but it's that's what I do. All right, lab. A lot of people talk about the Lab 599 TX500. I haven't had one in my hands, so I don't know. I sent my Minion SDR back to Yuri because, as you might know, I took it on my boat and I didn't take enough precautions, like a dumbass that I am, and it got splashed with salt water. It's really bad for electronics. So unfortunately, the Minion is dead. It's been dead for some time, and I finally mailed it to Yuri, and he apparently I checked the tracking number, and apparently he got it. So I'm probably going to hear from him. I'm going to have to pay for the repairs, of course, but I like that radio, except that it has a bit of a RF current problem, sensitivity, but otherwise I like it, but I don't have it at this time. Yaesu FT857D is worth 800. I'd say no. Well, new, brand new, yeah, but used, no, no way, no way. I wouldn't pay for that much for that for a radio like that. It's a good radio, don't it's a Yaesu, but it's just that the price is just pretty high. Sudo RMT, yes, I know that command. That's the command you use when the day you get fired, I guess. Nah, I wouldn't do that. Has absolutely done nothing but look through windows since it started snowing here in the UK. Should you let her in? If you're cold, they're cold. You should let her in. Paid $850 in August. Yeah, if it's brand new, sure, it is worth. I think it is worth that much. It's a lot of current draw though on receive, and a lot of those mobile radios they draw a lot of current, and it's portable radio usually is better because the engineers that create them they take into consideration that you're going to be using portable batteries, not a car battery, and usually they draw less current. They'll last longer. How's the boat? The boat is well, it's very windy tonight. I hope it's okay. It's all right. I haven't been really working on it as much as I would like to. Namely, putting solar panels on and an electric bilge pump, and also I have to check the engine because I have problems starting it. But then what on receive? Yeah, that's really good. So I haven't been really taking advantage of it, unfortunately, and with all the confinement, lockdown and the curfew and all that stuff, it's hard to find the time. I don't really want to just go out for just one day. I don't know. I'm not a big I'm not a big sailor. I like sailing for the traveling and the adventure, but not just to go out and sail, basically. All right, so Alex told me to be able to sign email, photo, make contact, integrated conditions. Whoops, hold on, I need to read that again. I'd like to be able, in case of bad conditions, okay, Alex Storm here, to be able to send email, photos and stuff. You would use the WinLink for that, WinLink. And it's a system that uses stations on HF. You need a radio, you need a digital interface, and you can send mail you could send photos, but low definition, because otherwise it would take hours to send. But WinLink is the key. 800 for the IC 700. Yeah, 7,000. No, 700. 7,100. Yeah, okay. Yeah, got it. That's pretty cheap. Yeah, it's pretty cheap. I wouldn't mind having actually a 7,200, the old one. I don't want that big color screen. It's just, well, I'm talking more about the 705. Because, yeah, well, have you tried the 705? No, for that reason. For that reason and the price, because it's expensive. And also, when you have a radio that expensive, you kind of hesitate to take it out, and you're always worried about damaging it. And that big color screen, you let it fall down and cracks, and it's a liability, really. And also, it draws current also. So for portable radio, in normal use, for normal use in normal times, yes, definitely. Otherwise, for emergency use and prepping, I wouldn't buy the 705. But that's me, FT891, yeah, that's a good one. You need bigger batteries, but battery technology is evolving, so it's not inconceivable. Learning to receive Morse code, excellent. Well, you're also learning to send Morse code, you just don't know. So not able to automatic hear and picture the letter. That takes a while. Don't slow down though. Don't slow down below 15 words per minute, even if it's much harder. That's my my advice. 7200s are great. I know. Yeah, right. Yeah, that I wouldn't mind having one. Although the current draw is very high. But can you hear Russian radio amateur frequency 27200? I haven't tried it. I have to check that out. That's in the CB band. No, it's right below maybe. Doesn't the CB band start at 27205 or something like that? I'm not sure. No, because 27185 is channel 19, so I think it is. Yeah. Ouais. Salut Gilles, Pascal. Oh, FN, F5 PNP. Salut. Wait for the QSX. I've been waiting for the QSX for years. I know, right? I know. Bill from Subtle Smoke. Okay, recommended the Bureau. French Spy. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Drone repeaters. Drone repeaters. That would be okay, I guess, for using a small cross-band repeater like the RT23. If you have a drone that's big enough to carry it, you know that your batteries are not going to last very long, so it would be only for if you have a contact already established at a certain time, that you can send the drone up and use it as a repeater, and you could go 1,000 feet up. I mean, no problem. Just for the time that you want to have the short conversation. But I wouldn't use one to just send up and trying to call and trying to reach who knows. If you don't have something set up in advance, I wouldn't do it. Also, drones are very fragile. Not so much in terms of crashing and stuff like that, but the electronics and they're not very durable. Let's just say so. You would have to carry probably a couple, and I don't know. It's a very interesting technology, but I'm not sure if it's ready yet for the field. The military uses drones, and of course that's you can do a lot of things. Like you could send a drone half a mile ahead of you to check if the way is clear, for instance. Things like that. For that, it's a force multiplier. You can go check out a road that's even a couple miles away and check if the road is open, and stuff like that. All right, Eddie, K6SDW, thoughts on a simplex repeater, perhaps deployed mobile from... keeps disappearing. Mobile from a prime location simplex repeater. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's a good thing to have, but why not have a duplex repeater, like a crossband repeater? It's so much easier to use. It's not that much more expensive, really. More videos at the mountains, your Land Cruiser. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I know. This summer, hopefully, if we are not, we are not on lockdown again. Hopefully, Crazy Clansman. Oh, the Clansman prices. Oh no, it's and a couple of years ago it wasn't like that. But now you try to get a PRC 320, even a PRC 351. PRC 351 used to cost like $100, and now it's twice, 2.5 times that, and for no good reason. Would a drone not give much interference? I thought it would when I used one to take a 15-meter wire antenna and lift it up, and it was an unfed antenna and had absolutely zero interference. And Of course, there is a big difference between the DJI drones, which are drones that are stabilized, and the FPV drones that you can't really hover. You know, those things are extremely fast. Some models can go to 200 kilometers per hour, so 125 miles an hour, only for a few seconds, of course, but they can go very fast, and you can go very far very quickly, because they'll go 3 times faster than the stabilized drones, and that's a different family of drones. ICOM 746 Pro and make my first CW contact. Excellent, on 2 meters. That's even better. What camera are you using making your great? I use my phone. I use my phone. I cracked my phone screen yesterday, but it's a Samsung phone. I mean, it's just nothing special. What's very important is the sound, and you've all seen my phone microphone, yeah. And the sound is very important when you make videos, more than the video quality. VSAT company videos really helped me. Excellent, man. China is doubling prices on purpose, while you always, I don't think anybody would ever double a price by mistake. Especially China. Yeah, I'm kidding. Kaz. Videos with your boat this summer. Well, I hope so. I hope so. I really want to. I have to get myself one of those rubber boats, a dinghy, you know, because I lost mine too, and so that I can actually go from the boat to the shore. FT891 does have SSB, CW, UHF, VHF, HF, blah, blah, blah. Digital and FM, yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Just checking in. But my first rotated 2-meter Yagi up today. Congratulations. Hope you are well. Well enough. Well enough. Santé. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about, we'll get into the subject now, about the usefulness of radio in crisis situations, especially survival situations, because I had people comment that it wasn't going to work, that nobody would be there to listen or to reply, and that it's not going to basically to be useful. And that really surprised me, because I mean, for me, of course, it's obvious that information is of primary importance in a situation where you don't have any. And you can imagine what would have happened if throughout history, like let's say during the Civil War, or any war for that matter, more than 100 years ago, if they'd had radio, it would have changed the face of the world. And radio did change the face of the world. People could communicate between, say, the United States and Europe, and for commerce, for all sort of things, and of course during even World War I, World War II, radio was used extensively. So I don't really. It's hard for me to imagine that people wonder if it would be useful, simply. But then I thought, not everyone is into this, hobby, so to speak. For me, it's just not just a hobby. Of course, it's a useful tool. It's a prepping tool, and it's just in case kind of tool. But for a lot of people, they have a hard time to imagine what radio can do, I think, because they think it's just a walkie-talkie that you talk to your buddy, and there's nobody else you can talk to. They're probably not considering HF, long-distance communications, regional communications. And I think it's our job a little bit to help these people, and that's why, of course, I have this channel, and there is the group on Facebook. Also, the website, radiocrappers.com, which is kind of messed up right now, and I'm aware of it. I just have to get back to it and fix it, but I haven't had really enough time to do that. But I will fix the website. But it's mostly the YouTube channel right now. Also, by the way, I also copied my videos to YouTube, UGETUBE, YouTube, and Elbry, LBRY, also known as Odyssey, ODYSEE, I believe. So just in case, just not to have all my eggs in the same basket, basically. All right, so radio, for me, it's let's see, FT, checking in. Swan Signet 270 on eBay, cool. I love to buy stuff on eBay, old stuff especially. FT891 for QRP, yeah, but you draw more current. And I know I'm a big stinker for that, but 500 mile contact with the Alens HD1. Yeah, I'm sure that's definitely possible. Yeah. I made a 200 mile contact on with the Yaesu, my Yaesu VX6 on top of a mountain, of course. 89100 watts solves a lot of. Yeah, not convinced. I've never needed 100 watts ever. I think the most on HF I've ever used was 30 watts. Just haven't needed 100 watts. But if there was a tiny portable radio that had 100 watt, I sure would buy it. What you say and anyone knowing you have the hardware. People targeting you. Yeah. Well, I mean, we live in a world of information, and there's a lot of information about everyone everywhere because we put it there ourselves. And I know that people, I don't know if really people look for well, I guess I can't say that people look for targets, but I don't know if a lot of people do that in advance. I don't know, but I think radio is you have two different kinds of radio applications for SHTF. Yeah, I'm a QRP. Yeah. Basically, is that you have the use in a group, and survival it depends on groups. It's group survival basically. I think it would be very hard for anyone to survive by themselves because you have to sleep sometime, and you don't really you would use a radio if you're alone, if you're to gather information, to listen, but really having a group would be a very important thing to work on and to do, and for that you would probably be the guy who would equip people with radios or suggest which model to get and practice with them, and maybe push them to get a license, and that would be very difficult. Of course, so you guys in the US have an advantage. You have GMRS licenses, and of course, everyone can use FRS, PMR radios, CB radio. So, but it's not something that you can just pick up and use. Well, you can, but you're not going to be as proficient compared to someone who trained with the radios before and did some drills and things like that. Like everything else, for like medicine or security or anything like that, radio does require a bit of practice. Yeah, I always say that they're comparing CW to a laser and voice to a flashlight. Always do that. CB is dead. Well, there is a little bit of a renewed interest in CB actually right now. I will say CB used to be dead. Now it's kind of coming back. Yeah. Art is new discipline, yeah, definitely. How many watts to cover 200 miles? Okay, here's the thing that I need to discuss, it's important. Do not buy a radio or think of range in terms of output power. That's the wrong way to look at it. The power, the more power does help, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the location. Where are you and where is the person you want to talk to? Are they behind a hill, behind trees? Are they on top of a mountain? What kind of antenna, what kind of band you're going to be using, what kind of frequencies? And that's really important. You know, what kind of antennas? The antennas much more important than the output power. So I never bought a radio based on output power. For instance, the walkie-talkies, you know, I say walkie-talkies, handheld radios, whether it's 5 watts, 8 watts, 10 watts, I couldn't care less. It doesn't matter one tiny bit. It's not going to make any difference. And actually 200 miles is the most difficult distance to cover. Most difficult. There's nothing more difficult than 200 miles, unfortunately. And you're not going to be able to do it by pushing more power, basically. You would have to use NVIS, Near Vertical Incident Skywave, for that. You might be able to do it on VHF or UHF, but that would be during very specific propagation conditions that are not going to be there all the time, or there isn't a good chance that they're going to be there on a regular basis, so it's not going to be reliable. Maybe you'd be able to do it a few times a year, you know what I mean, but not on a regular basis, like on a daily basis or weekly basis. The only way to do that 200 miles away is to use NVIS, which is HF, which is a horizontal antenna. You need, 7 megahertz, 40 meter band maybe, or the 60 meters or 80 meters, and you send your signal straight up, and it refracts on the ionosphere, and it comes back down in a regional pattern, and that's called NVIS, Near Vertical Incident Skywave. That's the only way to cover 200 miles reliably. All right, so 2 meter repeater. Location and antenna, exactly. Gila Monster, that's exactly it. Location and antenna, not power. It helps, but it's not the first thing to look at. Power means bigger batteries, it means bigger everything. And it means heavier everything too. SW3B, yeah, I thought about buying one. It's a little bit like a Weber MTR. I wonder if it was heavily inspired by the Weber MTR that I have. But I might get one. 10 watt CW. With 10 watt CW, you cover the whole world. 60 kilometers with 3 watts, 3 milliwatts. Whoa, yeah. My friend Frederic, he was with me when I talked to that guy 200 miles away, and he tried with his Yaesu VX1 with the battery pack, the alkaline battery pack, and I think he had 100 milliwatts, and he talked to a guy, I think it's 200 miles away, with 100 milliwatts on FM. And so it's possible, but of course it was over the water. So you probably had a temperature inversion, and the waves refracted on the temperature inversion, bounced on the ocean surface, and just went like that up to that distance. So those, of course, those are not conditions that are always present. Really, for SHTF radio, you're looking at frequencies below 10 megahertz. And the further north you are, the lower you want the frequency to be. If you're way up north, even England, you probably want to use 80 meters, 3.5 megahertz. Not lower, but 80 meters. If you're like like I am in the south of France, I can use 40 meters, 7 megahertz. NVIS, yeah. Yeah, definitely it does change. It's not always the same, but the antennas are not, not so much a pain to install as I thought they would. For instance, I before I never used to go on 80 meters portable because I thought that a 108, 132 foot antenna would be a huge problem. But actually, it's very easy to install. And it doesn't have to be very high. That was my belief, but it can be 6 feet from the ground and it's going to work. Doesn't really work on the ground. I've tried a couple times, more than a couple times. All right, so the voltage input range is better than the MTR3B. That's interesting. Okay. The radio guy, an important link is surviving in community. Yes, I think it brings value to the group you might be joining. Of course, that's not the only thing you should be able to do, but it definitely adds value to yourself. Especially if you know Morse code and you can teach it to people because they can use it even with a flashlight. KX1, that's a great radio. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Do you think local contacts are more relevant in UHF? Yeah, I think any local contact is relevant, and not only contacts you talked to before, but I would definitely. I made a video about this. I think a great thing to do is to get one of those SDR dongles that you plug in into a computer, and use an SDR program so you can see the whole spectrum of frequencies, and you can actually pinpoint where the transmissions are. Maybe find out that some frequencies are not encrypted yet. Maybe an old fire department or an old police department, something like that don't have the funds to buy a system that is encrypted. It still uses old radios, and you can make a list of those frequencies and make a list not on your computer, on a piece of paper, okay, on a notebook, okay, and make a list of the frequencies. Actually, that's why I talked about having an RF landscape map for yourself, where you're going to map, if you have the location, but basically the list of frequencies and locations and what things are and where are those transmitters, people who transmit and what they do, and so on and so forth, so that if you need to, you can contact these people, not in regular times, because of course a lot of them are like city services, utilities, or anything like that. So you're not gonna just call them and talk to them. They're not gonna like that. It's probably illegal, but you might want to have those frequencies, a list of them, to know what's around you, in case you need to really talk to those people. So that's a good thing to do, having one of those SDR dongles, and it costs like $20. So that's all of those reasons are really reasons that clearly show that radio is a big advantage in a crisis situation, not just to communicate, but just to listen. Do you have to evacuate the area you're in? Is it safe or not? Is it going to become not safe next week? There's so many questions that just by listening to the broadcast, the AM broadcast stations, and maybe FM if there's still some operating, or amateur radio operators, things like that, emergency services, having a scanner. My friend Ray, we talked about that. He has a scanner, and he monitors the emergency services around his town, basically, and most of them are not encrypted in that place. And so he's very aware of what's going on around him, and I think it's a great thing to do, and I haven't done enough of that. And a scanner has better scanning capabilities basically than a standard radio. Absolutely right about the 857. KI5J CEO Joseph. Hello. Who else? Malaysia. Bislan. Wow, that's pretty far. People from everywhere. I'm really glad you guys are here. That's awesome. All right, so group communications. So that's one thing that's one of the most important, and that's definitely VHF, UHF. Mostly, you could of course communicate regionally or locally with HF, and I've been thinking about that too, because if I have a little radio the size of a pack of cigarettes that I can communicate all around the world, it also works for local communications. Of course, that you're not so discreet, because your signal, you're talking to your buddy that's 5 miles away, and someone's hear you in New Zealand. It's not very discreet. I mean, if you want to remain to make sure your communications don't go too far, you might want to stay on VHF and UHF. Xigu G90, I've been thinking about that one too. If my Minion SDR isn't fixed or is not fixable or whatever, I lose it for whatever reason, I might get one of those. I tried to contact Xigu, and nobody answered me, but maybe it's just that I didn't talk to the right person. I don't know. Twitter wants to mute you. Well, I closed my Twitter account. So I muted them. Can a radio be encrypted? Yes, it can. It's illegal. It's illegal to do, but it's definitely possible. The easiest way to do that would be to use Morse code and encrypt your message. And I did a video on the one-time pad. Check that out, one-time pad. You to encrypt a message with a piece of paper and a pen and pencil, and that you can do, but it's illegal to do. Also, some radios like the TYT MD680, for instance, which are DMR radios. Some DMR radios have encryption built in, and it's normally for businesses, that sensitive businesses that need encryption. We can buy them. You just can't use them. Well, no, you can't use them. It's illegal. But if you needed to, well, you can't use them. But you might drift. Yeah, I know that. MTR4B. I know it's in my future. No, I almost bought it too. And definitely that would be at the very top of my list as well, MTR4B, because it has 80 meters, and that's a big one. 80 meters is very important. It's very simple, really. You need a day band. You need really 4 capabilities. Okay, you need the capability to listen to AM broadcast bands. That's clear. AM, FM, broadcast radio. That's one capability. You need the capability to talk locally. So VHF, UHF, handheld radios. You need a few of them, because you're going to be handing them out. Okay, you're going to be handing them out to people who are going to join you and make up a group, if you don't already have one, which you should really already have one. But so that's 2. Then you need a day band. You need a band that's going to work on HF during the day. And then you need a band that's going to work at night. And those double as NVIS, regional bands. So basically 20 meters maybe, or even 17 for the day. And also 40 meters, 60 meters, 80 meters for the night band. But you need both those capabilities, night, day on HF. You need to make a distinction between that, something that's going to be for regional communication, so lower than 10 megahertz, 40 meters, 60 meters, 80 meters, and something that's going to be for the day for very long distance, like 20 meters. I don't usually use bands above 20 meters because then it's not reliable enough. You never know if it's going to be open, if the propagation is going to be there. 20 meters usually works during the day. Most of the time, you're going to be able to make a contact. Above 10, 20 meters, like 15, 10 meters, 12 meters, CB, it's just not reliable for long distance. It might be good for local, but not long distance. You never know if it's going to work or not. And right now we're still at pretty much the bottom of the solar cycle, so it's not a good time for those bands. So I stay at 20 meters and below. Yeah, the MTR4B, that's it is quite a bit bigger. That's very true. I thought about the Weber. What was that? What is still sold? I think by QRPKits.com. The Tribander. The Weber Tribander. It's not that big, and it's I think it's a couple of $100. Three bands of your choice. $5, £5. John Buck, thank you very much. Thanks to you and your support. That's awesome. Yeah, guys, I think you can tip me. I think proof is. So don't hesitate. G90, yeah, I know the G90 is very tempting. Very tempting. I wasn't quite sure before because there wasn't many people using it yet and not many videos on YouTube, but it seems to be reliable, so it's tempting. It's not that expensive. I think it's around $500 maybe, something like that. And it has 160 meters up to 10, I think, so 20 watts, yeah. 20 watts is all, yeah, people always they want to use more power. It's not the right answer. Take military manpacks, for instance. Military manpacks are mostly 20, 30 watts, not more. Some of them are like 40, 50, but it's pretty rare. I mean, usually they're 20 watts, 25 watts power. And it's really all you need on HF. You don't need more than that. It's not necessary, and of course it can help in some situations, but you're just gonna, empty your batteries so much faster if you use more. And today we have digital modes, for instance, that can detect a signal like 24 decibels below the noise floor, which is absolutely crazy. A JSA call, those modes are so efficient. You can have a conversation with someone on, you can have 200 milliwatts and be thousands of miles away, and those modes, if the propagation is there, they work. So you don't need 100 watts, you don't need 500s or more. It's just not necessary. You're just going to burn so much current that you won't have, and you won't have that current because you're going to be on a battery, or generator, or something, but it's not going to last, Okay, so especially in light of the power outage, yeah, no kidding. FRS, battery-powered AM/FM radios, yeah, definitely. Even CB, anybody can buy a CB. You just have to buy a CB that has SSB on it, SSB modes, USB and LSB. Another one about the Lab 599. Yeah, I'd love to have one. I don't have the money, but it seems promising. Yeah. Although you never know, but we'll have to wait that more people get it, I guess, to see how it performs. And ICOM 705 game changer. I'm not I wouldn't get one for myself because it's the big color screen, it's a liability, and I don't know, it's so expensive too. I would be afraid to get it out of the house. Thoughts on 10 meters. 10 meters is like CB. It's not reliable for prepping. It's just you can use it for local communications. That's great. Same as the same way you would use 2 meters or 6 meters. But for long distance, I don't see why you would. CB 11 meters, 10 meters. It's only going to work some of the time for long distance, for skipping, for long distance communications. Otherwise, it's just a few miles, and except if you're on the top of a mountain, of course. But it's not reliable. I have a CB in my car, for instance. That's 11 meters, the same as 10 meters. But it's for local communications. It's not for long distance. 80, 40, 30, and 20 are my favorites. Yeah, those are the main bands, definitely. I'm a big fan of 30 meters, but that's because I do Morse code, using CW, and there's no contests. RS 918, that kind of rings a bell, but I don't. That kind of rings a bell, but I never tried one, no. TX5, yeah, I know, right, I'm interested, yeah. Well, I also have a lot of radios, probably have 35, I don't know, 40, I'm not sure. KX2, you have to really protect it, yeah. Pelican case or something similar. I shouldn't have sold mine. SW3B, yeah, I really have to look at that, yeah, I know. If they had an SW4B, I would jump on that, but it would be cheaper than the MTR4B, but I don't like to buy copies of... I don't know if they stole Steve Weber's work or not, but... ATS4A, yeah. Steve Weber is really has made some awesome radios. Thank you, JT 666 666 dollars. That's funny, man. That's funny. Randall 499. Thank you very much, Randall. Because I'll tell you, I'm not a rich guy. Do you use sailboat insulating backstay? I did on my previous boat. It had one when I bought it. And I thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. I'm not sure about being, really solid, like as strong as a cable, but I mean, theoretically, yeah. So I might do that. I'm thinking about using a ham stick. I know it's primitive and short, and why use a ham stick when you have a mast? So I'm not sure, but the insulated backstay, that's definitely a good option. If I have to take the mast down, and I probably will anyway, I would have to before leaving anyway, but because I have a problem with my VHF antenna, and I might just do it at the same time if it's not too expensive. John Diliberto, $5. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. KX3 is full of holes. Yeah, I know. So is the KX2, and I've always wondered about that because of course it's supposed to be a portable radio, and my KX2, I was always worried about getting it wet, or like at the slightest drop, I would put it back in the case. Julian uses his 705 out. Yeah, I know he does. He's very good at what he does, and yeah. I mean, I haven't had one, so it's hard for me to judge it. But it's just the big screen worries me. Michigan Prepper, awesome, man. $100, awesome. I'm not doing this for the money, by the way, the broadcast, but that sure helps a great deal. Thoughts about storing separate spare radios in Faraday containment? Yeah, I do that. I buy cookie tins and I eat all the cookies and I put my radios in the tin. And that's how I put some weight on, but shouldn't do that. Handhelds 5-watt dual band. What should I get if I want a rugged one? Yaesu VX6. Definitely. Or if you can find one and that the screen is still readable, get the VX7, Yaesu VX7. But the VX6, I believe, is still manufactured. The VX7 is not, unfortunately. I don't know why. Joseph Anthony 762, thank you very much. KI5JCO. I'm glad those videos are helping you guys, because it takes me a lot of efforts to find out all the things that don't work. Oh, virtual, yeah, fine, yeah, excellent. Virtual money is good too. It's the thought that counts. But again, it's not my goal here. But okay, this is going to be a long video because there's things to talk about still on SHTF radio. For sure, VX6, yeah, Frederick, yeah. 556, yeah. Or 762, or yeah. Yeah, so I was saying, yeah, group communications. That's one thing that's very important, and that for that you need handheld radios, UHF, VHF. UHF probably better for an urban environment, but you don't want to be in an urban environment really. And also VHF is really good. VHF for more like the countryside. UHF is more sensitive to obstacles, but it bounces everywhere, so that it's a little bit different. As to 2 meters, we probably do better in wooded areas. Probably 6 meters will even work better. There are a lot of cheap military radios that work on 6 meters, 30 to 76 megahertz, and you have the 50 megahertz 6 meter band in between, but they're pretty heavy and they're not that new actually, so it's a bunch of old stuff. But you can buy VHF, UHF dual band radios that don't cost that much. For those who don't have a license, MURS, MURS in the US is a great service. They have, I think it's 5 channels. It's not many channels, but it's good. It's good frequency VHF. Big fan of 762 time. Yeah, careful guys with that subject, because YouTube's gonna shut down the video. But yeah, I'm a big fan of all that stuff too. Yeah, absolutely. So in the Yaesu 891 or used 857D. Man, it's a tough one. I'd probably get the 857. Probably. I like that radio. It's pretty cool. If it's not too old, but those things last a long time. All right, so group radio. So I was saying, receiving capability to receive AM broadcast and FM broadcast stations. That's one important thing. Some of those capabilities you can do with your handheld radio. Like for instance, my VX6, it's over there. My VX6 receives AM broadcast stations. The only problem is that it goes from 5 kilohertz on 5 kilohertz channelized basically, so I can't listen to anything in between. I can't listen to USB, LSB, CW, any of that stuff. So that's not good. It's good to have a dedicated receiver for AM and AM broadcast stations, and something that can receive also USB and LSB. Of course, your regular ham radio can do that. Sorry, but not all of them. Some of them will not go below their lowest band for for instance, 160 meters, but you can't listen below that. And that's too bad because that's where the broadcast stations are. And you never know if those stations are still going to be operating. They might be operating on another continent that you can listen to in your disaster area. And that might be the only source of information you would be receiving for the time being, is maybe a station from a different country. So hence the importance of HF. You need to be HF capable, basically. I think it's important. So that's already 3 kinds of radios, and it's a lot of equipment, because also for prepping, as you know, 1 is none, 2 is 1. So you need basically 2 of everything, and it's so the cost is a problem. So gotta get a couple receivers, maybe $50 to $100 each. You're gonna get some handheld radios, for your group, for yourself. And if you don't have a group, if you're alone, you have to consider that you're going to hand out radios to people. So you're not gonna buy $200. You're not gonna buy a dozen $200 radios. Okay, let's just say. You're gonna buy radios that are gonna be $20 a pop. Probably. We all know what those are. I like the TYT radios. I like the Ritevis, except the model, I don't remember. There's one model that I tested that didn't work, but most of them work. I just check my videos. Both of them, they work. Why not, You're going to buy a bunch of them, you're going to buy a dozen radios, you're not going to want to spend a lot of money, and the difficulty that would be to recharge them, that's a big question. Will you have the capabilities to recharge those radios? Maybe a solar panel, maybe, 1 panel per radio, 1 charger per radio, it's all stuff that you have to think about. Batteries, you have to buy a couple 18650 cells per radio with a solar charger board, with a solar panel, small solar panel, maybe 10 watts. Can you afford all that? And it's can you have, maybe if you have a group, will you have like a recharging station, where you can recharge a bunch of radios? What are you going to power that with? Maybe a car battery. How are you going to recharge that? There's a lot of considerations, but basically a receiver, AM/FM broadcast radio receiver, handheld radios, and you want HF, so shortwave, amateur radio transceiver. Okay, more text. For sure. Okay, so okay. I'm not able to answer to everyone, of course, but 4570. I like that one. Yeah. I have a 3220. All right, and a 3840. Okay, let's not talk about that subject. CB Galaxy 959. Oh yeah, I used to have one of those. Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't. It was 979DX, I think. Yeah. RT23. That's the crossband repeater. Yeah. Flying something like up with a kite. Yeah, I thought about a kite. Definitely kite. You could fly a crossband repeater on a kite. People told me, what about, weather balloons and stuff? Yeah, but where are you going to find the helium? If you don't have it already, you're going to carry a tank. I don't know. Open feed line balanced. Yeah. Well, it's good to have a resident antenna too. It's probably the easiest actually. But you don't have, necessarily a crossband capabilities. That's it's always a trade-off. Filtering on the Yaesu is awesome. That is true, even better than a lot of those, of the Chinese radios. Malachite SDR. I don't know what that one is. getting an unfed. You know, I really like those antennas. I used mine today again with my tiny transformer with the FT 82-43 64 to 1. Awesome. Made contacts all over Europe, and 28. Okay, Bio 28 watt solar panel. That sounds like a good size. Yeah. Malachite. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out. Not sure. You know, I really feel you guys in Texas, and that's really tough what you're going through over there. Really tough. I used to live in Florida, of course, and that was totally different. But I can imagine it's not the kind of weather you're accustomed to when people are not ready. You know, and it's just it's very. Oh, Houston. I've been to Houston. Yeah, once been to Houston. 9-to-1 balloon. Yeah, but you know, I've moved away from 9-to-1 Ununs. It's Ununs because of the problem with stray RF currents, common mode currents that come back on the shield of the coax, and they wreak havoc on your electronics. You know, and it depends on the radio you have, but usually, I mean, they work. They're multi-band. You know, you can use them with a tuner, but really. I'm just happier with the half-wave unfed antennas. They're just so easy to use. There's no problem with RF currents. There's no worries really, and they're so easy to set up. Well, just as the 9-to-1, same thing, but I don't have to worry about using a tuner at all. If I want to change bands, I can use either change the wire or use a harmonic. You know, if I have a longer wire. And it works just fine, and I make amazing contacts on with that tiny, that big of a transformer with the FT82-43 64 to 1. Just watch my video, and the one I published recently made a contact with the I think it was the state of Maine in the US from the south of France, using 30 watts on USB, so voice mode, with a tiny thing like this, and the wire, I don't know, it must have been like 24 gauge or something like that. It's just ridiculous, but the thing fits in my short pocket, and I can make a contact with someone that's on a different continent. And those antennas are really good, and that's what I use primarily, really. And the transformers are so easy to make. All band, all mode receiver, yeah, that's definitely the thing is. Can you find a small one, small enough that you can carry it? Because you always have to consider the worst possible situation, and that's big on foot, and good to know. 9-to-1 I have unfed half-wave. I love it as well. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the 64 to 1. Well, I use 64 to 1 because I primarily use the lower bands. If I want to use the upper bands, like 20 meters, if I was using, or CB, or 6 meters, I use a 49 to 1. You can't use really a transformer like that above 6 meters, but between 6 meters and 20 meters, I use a 49 to 1 with a half-wave wire, and below 20 meters, I'll use a 64 to 1, again with a half-wave wire. FT817. I was talking about the 817 and the 818 with a friend today. And I told him, yeah, I should have bought one of those. It's pretty rugged. It's a rugged radio. You get UHF, VHF, HF, you get all of that stuff. And it's a really good radio. And I don't know why I never bought one, because it would have served me well, and I probably would have kept it. And yeah, definitely. I definitely like it. Of course, you're not going to be listening to VHF or UHF at the same time you're listening to HF, and I mean that's often what people say. But it gives you access to a 2 meter USB and CW, and even 70 centimeter UHF SSB, and CW. So it gives you a lot of capabilities, and I think the 2 meter USB, is underused. I think for prepping, you have a good antenna like a Yagi Uda. I always had Uda. Since Uda was the real inventor, Yagi was the salesman, basically. But a good Yagi Uda antenna with a 2 meter rig and in USB or even CW, if you know CW, if you know Morse code, you can go pretty damn far regionally. It's a very good mode to use, and nobody wants to use USB on 2 meters. I don't know why. Maybe because it doesn't sound as good, but who cares? Mountain Topper looks interesting. It's an excellent radio. I built two as a kit. I built three as kits. I bought a fourth one. Yeah, I've had four of them. Yeah. MTR is where it's at for CW, for Morse code. 817 is amazing. Yeah, it sure is. It's an amazing radio. You have to be careful about your SWR, but no, 64-1 is not for a random wire. 9-1 is for a random wire. 64-1 is for a half-wave wire. Watch my video that's titled, search on YouTube, Radio Proper Confusion. Okay, Radio Proper Confusion on YouTube. You'll find that video. It explains everything about half-wave and random wires and transformers. Full-size 160-meter horizontal loop so far. If you have the space for that, man, that's awesome. Yeah, better use guys, better use a half-wave wire with a 49-1 or a 64-1. It just works. It just works, and it's so easy. (49-1). Yeah, 9-1 for random wire, that's correct, and 49-1 or 64-1 for half-wave and fed. That's where it's at. FT817, that's definitely, and it's VK3YE, Peter Parker in Australia. He has one, and he's had one for such a long time. It's all beat up. That thing is all beat up, and he takes it to the beach, and and I don't know how that radio survived, but still kicking. How long did it take you to learn CW? You can't learn CW. The same way you can't learn to speak USB or FM. You learn Morse code. But to answer your question, it took me month and month to learn Morse code. And I'm still not great at it. I know you guys see me in my videos. I mean, today I couldn't decode anything. I don't know why I was tired, but whatever the reason. But I still miss. I mean, I decode probably 80%, 20 words a minute maybe. But I'm still missing. That means I'm still missing 20% of what's going on. So of course you can kind of, plug the holes, fill in the blanks. But I'm not a great copier, but I get by, and it took me months to do that, really long time. You have to find someone that's going to be practicing with you on the air, or maybe through Skype or whatever. And then you have to not start below 15 words per minute. At least start at 15 words per minute, and try to build from there. Once you reach about 20 words per minute, you can go to what's that class there? CW Ops, I think. They have 3 classes that are really good. But it takes a long time. It takes a long time to learn Morse code, and it also be careful not to spend much time at all on sending. You have to spend 80-90% of your time on receiving when you learn Morse code. It's funny how there's still a lot of confusion about the 9 to 1 and 49 to 1 transformers, half-wave unfed and random wires. And again, guys, watch my video, I mean, not Google, but YouTube, search on YouTube, radio proper confusion. And you'll find the video and it explains the whole thing. And it's one of my best videos, I think. That's why CW Morse. Well, CW is the mode. Morse code is what you're using. Yeah. Like I said, you can't learn to speak FM, speak English. So you can't learn CW. You learn Morse code. It's a pet peeve of mine. Southern Spain. I was there last summer. Go and get my boat over there. Benicarlo. Practice. Pangrams, I don't know, the King Moss Day, there's one. Yeah, practice, a little bit of practice every day does go a long way. And on YouTube, you can find people who publish videos of like books and things like that in Morse code at different speeds. And I remember finding chapters of Moby Dick, which was pretty cool, and listening to that. 12 watts per minute, 100%. Well, 100% anything is good, really. CW ups, yeah, that's, I did one class with them. I went from 20 to 25 watts per minute. Then I didn't practice enough again, and I went back to 2018. I can still copy sometimes 25 watts per minute, but I really, if I'm really rested, Kurt Sogelmans, I don't know. I have to look that up. Australia, been there too. I hitchhiked around Australia long time ago. Thank you, Mikey. All right, so so we saw the, every time I recap, someone else sends a message. So AM/FM broadcast receiving, very important. Group communications, UHF, VHF, handheld radios, and HF radio, HF shortwave transceiver, being able to send and receive, and that's the three things that you should be able to do. And out of those three things, really only one requires a license, basically, because the local communications, you can use PMR, FRS, MURS, CB. There's a lot of things you can use for local communications, but not for long distance. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, so definitely I would suggest to anyone to get your amateur radio license. It's really useful for allowing you to practice. Of course, some people use certain frequencies that are not legal, but that are used, a lot, I would say. Well, maybe not a lot, but you have 6.66 megahertz in that area. You'll find people. And there are other bands, like in Europe on PMR, you find a lot of people on PMR that use radios that have too much power to be legal, but it doesn't bother anyone, and sure, doesn't bother me. I don't need to use it because, of course, I have my license. So, but CB is pretty cool. Winterized boat is, yeah, I didn't winterize my boat, but it's not cold enough here to do that, really. You can arrange unfed halfway like a dipole. Certainly you can put it vertically, sloping, horizontal, any way you want. X30A or elk log periodic, or elk or log periodic. I think it's getting too complicated at that point. I like to keep things simple. Well, I think the X30A isn't that a short vertical? Um, I think that's collinear, isn't it? Not sure. I think it is, Mikey. I think it's the X30A is the collinear, and you have the X. I think they have different models that are longer too. Collinear is nice and simple. I like that. I think they have the 50 model or something like that. X50 or something. I don't remember. I think it's Diamond that makes those antennas. That series of antennas. Problem with the log periodic is that it's a directional antenna, so you have to point it in one direction. You're not going to cover the behind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's it. K6 ARK. That's correct. Both? Well, yeah, why not? I mean, they're not really portable antennas. We're not talking only portable, of course, because prepping is not bugging out with your backpack and fleeing to the woods. Actually, that's the last thing anyone wants to do, because it would be so difficult and nearly impossible to do for anyone who isn't already doing that. So that's not really an option, is it? I think that we've discovered now with the whole situation right now that a lot of emergencies are not global, wide range, terrible catastrophes, but can be, I guess the global one we're going through now, but it's not 100%. You know what I mean? There are levels, and we're not far up the ladder of seriousness, but even a few rungs up, couple rungs up the ladder, it's already causing a lot of problems. And so it's not always 100%. It's not always all or nothing as far as emergencies. And you're not going to find yourself with a little tiny Weber MTR in your pocket and throwing a wire in a tree somewhere in a forest, all by yourself. And I mean, it's just not. Well, it's possible, but it's not the likely, I would say, fortunately. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of prepping, radio prepping can be done at home too, with base antennas. And you still have to choose which antennas you're going to use. Do you want those antennas to be highly visible or not? Do you want people to know that you have them, or that you can communicate with the outside or whatever, or send mail, or maybe in some cases you do, but you might not want to advertise that to the whole world. So it's not, you have to think about all that. And do you want to have a dozen antennas on your roof? That's a porcupine house. Probably not, because people are going to wonder, what are you doing there, and what can we get from you? So that's something to consider. They might think you're a prepper and you have stuff they want. So discretion, really, definitely. Wire antennas are just awesome. You can use very thin wires, very thin, black wire. I really like the wire from the wireman.com. It has a copper-clad steel wire. So you get the conductivity of the copper on the outside of the wire, and anyway the current is on the outside. And you get the strength of the steel. So copper-clad steel wire. And it's got, the one I use the most, I think, is number 534, 532, 534. I think it's a very thin one. I think it has a breaking strength of 25 pounds, which is, it's pretty damn good. And it's almost invisible. When you put that up in the air, you look at it, you just can't see it, and it's a great advantage for wire antennas. What time is it? 9:30. Okay, another maybe can go another 20-30 minutes, and then we'll have to call it quits because it's going to be too long, and we haven't talked about everything yet because I'm answering questions, but that's great. That's why I'm here, that's why I'm here. Vidéo sur les pannes rencontrées sur les CB. Je ne suis pas un technicien vraiment, donc c'est un peu difficile, mais là il faudrait avoir des questions plus spécifiques. Sorry, I gotta speak French to French people. What has given you best results, NFEDA, for inverted V, inverted L, or straight vertical? Straight vertical. Otherwise inverted V. But I really haven't really tried inverted L. Inverted V has been great for 80 meters because I only need one attachment point. A sloping also works pretty well. I never really had a case where the antenna didn't quite work, except when I laid it on the ground, and that didn't work. It didn't work. But putting the wire only like 6 feet up, and boom, you're making contacts. It's quite amazing. Because, lower frequencies, I'm speaking about 80 meters, of course, and probably 40 meters, but you can put your antenna quite low to the ground and still being able to, you don't want to put it, at that level, but, a couple of feet above anyone's height, and you're good to go on the lower frequencies anyway. I wouldn't do that on 20 meters, but yeah, the stickers on your truck and stuff. Yeah, you gotta be careful. MPass 2.0. Yeah, the MPass, I'm really happy with it. I've been using it for years. And that hybrid micro, the little Unun, it's just indestructible. It's just that thing. I don't know what I'd have to do to it to break it, but it's just not gonna happen. And you add a whip antenna on top of it, and you're good to go. And a tuner, of course. But it's you install that thing in not even 5 minutes. 3 minutes. But it's for mostly, I would say, an antenna like the MPass system is mostly for 30 meters and up. You're not going to do 40 and 80 with a whip antenna. Well, you could for local communications, but it's not really going to work for long distance. I'm not saying it never happens, but stealth wire. Yeah, like I said, check out the Wireman. I think it's number 534. Copper clad steel. Greetings from VE3. Yeah, isn't that Australia? Awesome. Or Canada? No, I'm not sure. Trees behind you. Well, you could just throw a wire up a tree. Nobody sees it. DX Commander. Last I heard, he's fully moved into his new location. Inverted L, because in inverted L you get a little bit of both vertical and horizontal polarization. So I think. Experimenting with phasing 2 vertical quarterwaves. I thought about that. I thought about experimenting with actually a half wave and a reflector and a director, but that means 3 masts, at least a couple masts, and it's more complications, Pietro, thank you very much, man. 50, awesome. That just helps a great deal. What do you think about the frequencies that the Brazilians and Russians use? Well, I'll tell you a bit about that. Almost impossible except in the event of war. The Brazilians and the Russians used an American satellite fleet, I don't remember which one, but it's on something like 260 megahertz, something like that. And it's an open repeater, basically satellite, and they use it. The Brazilians talk among themselves. Brazilian truckers apparently have found a way to use it, and the Russians use it, and a lot of people use it. Fleet, I don't remember the name. Someone post it, please. Fleet something. Fleet Sat 7 or 11. I don't remember. No, not 7-Eleven. That's a store. But it works really well. Yeah, it works really well. But it can be shut down anytime. So I mean, I think that's what you were talking, Pietro. Let me know if that wasn't the case. But yeah, there are satellites that are used by pirates, definitely, and nobody seems to care. So it's 9:30. Well, 3:30. Yeah, it's actually it's 9:30 p.m. here. Yeah, 9:30 p.m. using the Army SATCOM system. I think it's Navy, but I'm not. 255 Pascal. Okay. 255 megahertz. 255 megahertz apparently. Yeah. Have you heard about and what do you think about towel bar antennas for NVIS on a car or balcony railing? I have no idea what that is. Send me a link to that, maybe post it in a comment, because I don't know. I have to Google that up. I don't understand the word you say in French. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm speaking, and it does happen that I say something and I don't remember if I said it in French or English. But when people look at me with a puzzled look in their eyes, I know I've used the wrong language. And even 5 years after coming back, it still happens sometimes. Especially when I speak with, I mean, I watch a lot of American, and English series, and I just finished, by the way, the Expanse. Oh, it's such a good series, amazing. Anyway, that's science fiction, but I watch I watch a lot of series in English, and of course I do think a lot still in English. So what's my favorite band? 30 meters, but because I do Morse code. If it wasn't 30 meters, I'd say 40 meters, because 40 meters can do everything, especially for prepping. 40 meters can do local, regional, and long range, NVIS, everything. 40 meters can do everything. And if you could only have one band among all the other bands, it would be 40 meters, because that's it. That's the one that does it all. So it's very important to have. Now I use 30 meters because it's quiet. There's no contests. There's no USB, LSB. It's only digital modes in a section of it, and most of it is for CW. Morse code. So for me, 30 meters is probably the most interesting, the better band. Again, like I said, 40 meters does everything, and I really have been more and more interested in 80 meters, once again for regional communications. And because, for portable operations, like I said before, first I thought 80 meters would be a problem because the antenna size, the length of the wire would be such a pain to deal with, but it really isn't. It's really easy, and it's really, wire fits in your pocket if it's thin enough, and you think you have to make it really straight and really go up a mast, and but you don't really have to for 80 meters. You can, I string it on trees, tree branches. I go from tree to tree, and I put my wire above the branches and maybe throw it with a rock and above a branch, something like that, just a few feet off the ground once again, and it just works. And I'm using usually no more than 5 watts, and I make plenty of contacts. So okay, so everything. This was awesome. I know, yeah, I'll do it again, and it's really nice for me too because it can, you know, I'm all by myself here, and it's I have really nobody to talk to. Of course, it's not like I'm talking. You know, you're not talking back, you guys, but I can see all your messages, and it's really nice. The Expanse, yeah, The Expanse is a great series. It's awesome. First season isn't that awesome, but this after that, it just goes from the regular series to a top, one of the best ones ever produced, probably. When Europeans, French use Morse code, is it in English or other language? Usually it's in their own language, but they do, they are, all of them practically are capable of making a QSO in English, just using, you know, the Q code, you know, QTH, RST, you know, it's always the same. So basically, when they contact someone who speaks English, so even if they don't speak English, they can have an exchange. Let's say maybe not a conversation, but they can have an exchange. Come back to the States, yeah, you know, well, we will see. It's not out of the question. Best years of my life were in Florida, no doubt, no doubt. Shame NVIS cannot fit into a UK garden with them being so small. You know, there's got to be a way to do that, maybe with inductance, coils, shortened dipole, maybe a loop square, you know. You might be able to, if you can have a wire that, if you have a square garden or rectangle, maybe including your house, or, you know, you can just have basically a wire that goes all around your property, whatever shape it has, you know, doesn't matter. You have a wire that's probably, you know, I would say at least 6 feet off the ground, and that goes all around your property, including around your house. And when this wire comes together, you know, you just feed it right there. You plug in and you try to see if you, with a tuner, you can get a match. I would try that. You know, that's definitely, that's probably your best bet, is to do that. Other than that, magnetic loop, but you're not going to go down on 80 meters with a reasonably sized magnetic loop. It's not going to happen. But you can have a 5 meter, I think it's about 19 feet. Well, you know, can calculate meters. 5 meters perimeter magnetic loop with a big, one of those Russian vacuum capacitors at the bottom. You can put a toroid on top that goes through the copper, and put like between 2 and 5, 6 turns maybe, and try which, you know, what works best. And with 5, 6 turns, you probably can match 40 meters, and it's going to be efficient and enough on 40 meters. But I wouldn't go below 40 meters on a magnetic loop, even a big one like that. But yeah, NVS is possible with a magnetic loop. Sky loop, yeah, that's what I was talking about basically. Do you practice FT8 mode? Not at all. It's just absolutely not interesting to me, because I can't have a conversation, you know, or it would be difficult. But JS8, on the other hand, which is based on FT8, it uses the same engine basically. JS8 is a great digital mode, and that I like, but I don't do FT8. Yeah, CW, yeah, it's usually in English. Even, I mean, I do CW in English. I have a hard time to do CW in French. Parlez un peu en français, merci. Oui, mais c'est vrai qu'il y a beaucoup plus d'auditeurs américains ou anglais, donc c'est pour ça que je parle pas toujours français ou peu français. Mais on pourrait peut-être faire une vidéo exprès en français, tiens, c'est pas une mauvaise idée ça. All right, so I was saying, for the French-speaking people, I might do a French-only video, live. Short and coil-loaded, yeah. Do you recommend an unfed half-wave antenna or quarter-wave antenna? Definitely unfed half-wave, yeah. Well, quarter-wave is going to work too, but you get a better angle, you get a lesser angle of attack of radiation with the unfed half-wave. I think it's around 19 degrees or something. Well, it's not that precise anyway, but it's no more than 20 degrees. With a quarter wave, it's more like it's probably around 27, 28. It's basically like 10 degrees more for a quarter wave. So you're gonna basically go further before you have to skip. You have longer skips with an unfed half wave, but in 30 meters, it's pretty. Even a quarter wave is pretty efficient. Do I plan on buying other military HF radios in the future? Yeah, I'd like to. I would like to already have 6 meters, 6 meter, VHF military radios. I have a few of them, so I might look for HF. And there's one that I really would like to find. It's the PRC 316. It's CW only, and it's really hard to find. And they go for probably around $600 used, not even working. So PRC 316, yeah, someone has one, I'll take up a loan. Loop should be 80 meter, 2 meter diameters. No, a loop is not gonna do 80 meters efficiently. You'd have to be huge the only way to make a magnetic loop to do 80 meters efficiently is to make multiple turns of the loop, and that's not easy to make. I mean, 2 meter diameter, you just have an efficiency of maybe, I don't know, to 15%. I mean, I'm just making that up, but it's not shuttle. You're gonna have to put some power in there, and it's just gonna be wasted. Its magnetic loop is better kept at 40 meters and up. All right, so one question: where to buy a Falcon Harris 158, for example? It is not really any place. I buy stuff from clansman-radio.co.uk. Steve, really good seller, but more for the PRC 320 and 351 and 350 and all that stuff. For the rare radios, you just have to be like subscribed to all the groups on groups.io and Facebook, and some private groups on WhatsApp or Signal or anything like that. Buy and sell military radios. It's a small community, so people, especially radios like that are rare and not there's a bit of an issue selling them maybe. A lot of these people will not sell to anyone just like that. So you have to kind of know them and be kind of in the loop, otherwise you're not gonna find one. All All right, so less questions. We're gonna be getting close to the end here. I planned on 2 hours maximum, so I think I covered pretty much the reason to have radio and the capabilities of radio in an SHTF situations. Now, if you can think of anything else, please comment, because that's what I want to see. I want to finish this video by basically making sure we haven't forgotten anything. And for me, it's mainly group communications and receiving broadcasts and trying to gather information on what's going on and where. Now, if anyone can think of something else, good evening, Stuart. Then please chip in. I forget, I do forget a bit of English sometimes. It does happen, but. Anyway, I was saying also on the Facebook group, I noticed a lot of people signing up lately. It's been for about a couple of months, maybe three months. There is a lot of interest for in prepping and radio prepping. And better late than never. So. And of course, I think it's because of what's going on. I think I'm not going to talk about politics, but there's a lot of changes that's happening around the world. There are a lot of changes, and with this situation that we're all living, right now, people are wondering what's going to be next. And I think they realize that governments are not that nice to people in general. Maybe they look back in history and discovered a few things. I don't know, but the fact is that more people are getting interested in prepping, and I think it's great to be connected. And I think it's important that you guys try to contact each other also, and that we all kind of. I'm not sure. I thought before about having a frequency that really for this group of people here, and but it really never happened, and I think it's really hard to plan on making contacts at a certain time on a certain frequency and so on. It's really not easy to do that, but I think it's important to make sure that you remain capable of staying on the air if the need arises. And I think that's going to be the bigger problem, the biggest problem for amateur radio after an event, is to stay on the air, or how to stay on the air, because I think that most stations are going to be closed, indefinitely after the first week, without electricity. And I think that's a big. Even myself, I would be hard pressed to stay. I could stay on the air because I have very efficient radios, but it will be difficult because I only have one solar panel left here, and I need to buy more and other means of recharging batteries too. So staying on the air is the key, and I think it's our job to do that, to make sure that we can stay on the air and we can contact each other, because of course, if anything happened and we needed to be on the air to gather information and find out what's going on and exchange information, I think it would be pretty easy, because, well, first of all, the noise would be much reduced, so the bands would be clear, and people would find each other pretty easily. Satcom style of radio. Well, it gets complicated. I know that, like, for instance, here in Europe, we have access to a QO100, which is a geostationary satellite, which is above Qatar in the Middle East, and it covers from Brazil to somewhere in Asia. It's really a big coverage, and it's a weekly net on GS8 call. Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, we need to think about that, but I'm not equipped I'm waiting for my minion SDR to come back. All right, so yeah, we have Q100, but it's technically, you know, you have to carry a dish and you know, a reflector. You have your 2.4 gigahertz uplink. You have a 10 gigahertz downlink. You need a converter for that. You know, it's just complicated. You need a computer. It's complicated communication. Satcoms are very complicated for preppers. You know, it might be too complicated for, you know, it's more of a hobby than a prepping thing. I think. You know, if you can do it, great. For someone who's bugged in, but you know, there aren't going to be many people using it. It'll be interesting to listen to, certainly. But I think, I mean, for me, the reason why I haven't done satcoms and tried satellites yet is because of the complexity, really. Not that I can't do it, because of course I can do it, but it's just because I don't want to use something that's going to be so complicated. Because when you need it, you need something that works in a simple manner very quickly. You're not gonna, you know, it's like self-defense. You know, I teach self-defense, and you don't want to teach complicated techniques, or you know, to people, because it won't work. It won't come out. The day you need it, someone attacks you. Those things are not going to just come out by themselves if you haven't practiced, you know, thousands of times. And you have to go really, you have to teach really basics, you know, things that make sense, but that are easy to implement, you know. And I think it's the same for radio. We need to use things that are easy to implement and fast and small and light and easy again. The key being easy, of course. The complicated equipment is going to fail. That's why I love Morse code, because the radios are so simple and so small. There's less stuff to fail. The less you have. Well, okay, reconnecting. I think we lost connection for a second or two. GS8 frequency, right, yeah, we could have a, well, I guess I don't know if you can change the frequency on GS8 core, I'm not sure, but we'd have to think about that, about a net, why not? That's an interesting idea. I can do it with my magnetic loop, and when I get my Minion SDR back. I also have, I got a plug, thanks to my friend Xavier, I got a plug for my TRC 372 at a French military radio. I can use GS8 core on that, on the lower bands, probably 40 meters. So that might be an idea. We know that the solar cycle is is on the way up now, so it's going to be easier to make intercontinental contacts, especially with a mode like GS8 core with this, which is very efficient. So we definitely should work on that. That's a good goal to pursue and make it as simple as possible, even though it's a digital mode, but we need to simplify it as much as possible. Julian would be very good at that. MFSK 32, yeah, that's a good one too. That's a good one too. It's not only GS8 core, but GS8 core is pretty, because you can relay messages too with GS8 core. So you can leave a message in someone's inbox, basically, and that's a great. You don't have to be in front of the radio to get a message, basically. All right, guys, 5 minutes, and now we have 7 minutes. 2 hours, it was my set maximum. So in 7 minutes, conclusions. If someone has any other ideas, things that should be considered, you know, how to use radio to increase the odds, basically, our odds of survival. And of course, radio, I think also to conclude, for me, it's like a force multiplier. It's like drones, you know, same thing. You can use them to go see what's going on a couple miles away and come back. Radio also lets you see much further, you know, hundreds, thousands of miles away if you have to, and it helps you gather information that it's going to help you maybe in all the other areas of prepping. It can be, security. Is someone coming? Is a danger coming? Is it like maybe radiation coming from a certain place? With the brought by the wind or something like that. So it can help a great deal for security. Being having people go on a patrol from a group and reporting to base on what's going on. Also medical, if someone is sick or something like that, or has is wounded and you don't have a doctor, are you going to be able to contact someone who knows a doctor, and maybe then a radio operator who is a doctor, and that could really save someone's life, because you can find medical information, you can describe symptoms and get something back, some information back on what to do, on what medication to take or anything like that, and what dosage and anything. A doctor would know, and you're not going to always find a doctor, but radio might help you find a doctor. And so that's what radio is good at, is to gather information. Maybe call for help or something like that, and maybe just for morale. Just to talk to someone. Mesh-based network. Yeah, it's not so complicated. Again, you want to keep things simple. Complicated is just not going to do it. People won't do it. They won't bother. There's going to be problems, reliability problems. It's just so difficult to make complicated things work, especially if it's already difficult to do in a normal situation without any problem. Then you're pretty much certain that in a crisis situation it's not going to work. You'll have to learn Morse code, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, WinLink is nice. P2P, yeah, I know. You need a computer, but it works. It certainly works. Radio comes scare people. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it definitely does. GS8 call for mobile. You want to use GS8 call in your car? I don't know. It'll be hard to type a message while driving, but you can receive. CW and QRP all the way. Yeah, I think that's the key here. And Morse code is so useful because, of course, you can use it again with a flashlight, with a drum, with anything. You can tap on someone's hand. You can. There are so many ways to use Morse code. It's unbelievable. Not just radio. US tech license, very easy. Yeah, absolutely. Never stop at a tech license. There's no point in not getting the general. I got all my tests. I got the 3 of them in one session. I bought the 3 books. I read for a couple of weeks. I would read a chapter every day of each book. So that 3 chapters a day, but on the same subject. And then you can go and try to pass them all at once. If you fail, you fail. It doesn't matter. You haven't lost anything. But if you pass, you pass. So at least aim for general. Really. All right, so guys, that's about it. It's about it for tonight. Oh, we have 3 minutes. No, actually, do we? Maybe not. My watch is a bit late, because of course I have a mechanical watch. I don't have an electric watch. Yeah, so that's about it for tonight. Thank you very much, guys. Very nice. I really appreciated that. It's really interesting. Now, I wish we had more time. We can do it again. We can do it again, because it's really interesting to answer questions, and I see people bringing a lot of good ideas too, and that's absolutely excellent. And I'm gonna have to rewatch that video, this video later, probably, just to see all the ideas that I missed scrolling, unfortunately. And my apologies for that, because sometimes it would scroll pretty damn fast. But I really appreciated it. Thank you very much for the people who tipped me. That's really helping a great deal. And also all the people on Patreon. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to the alternate platforms that I put on the. Look at my last video, Elbury. I think I messed up the address, but you can search for Radio Proper and YouTube, UGETUBE. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. I have work tomorrow, so I gotta get some rest. You all have a good day, good night, whatever it is, where you live, and my best wishes to the people in Texas over there, and wherever you are. I hope you're well, and I will talk to you guys pretty soon. Until the next video, have a good one.